Who Moved My Cheese, written by Tony Roberts, summarized by Audiobooks You Love. Parables appear in some of my favorite books that provide business and life lessons. In the beginning of the story, all four characters are thrilled to discover their favorite type of cheese at the place they call Cheese Station C. After discovering the station, they would race there every morning to get another treat of cheese. The mice continued this trend, while the two children became lazy and started to show up later and later to get their cheese. One morning, the mice arrived after following their designated route and discovered that there was no cheese left at Station C. While he and How were stunned that the cheese was gone and were furious, disappointed, and in denial over the loss of this resource, Sniff and Scurry weren't that surprised, since they had been observing less and less cheese at the station for quite some time. Being fairly straightforward and realizing that the cheese was running low, Sniff and Scurry accepted that stations no longer had what they were looking for and began searching the maze for fresh cheese. They were richly rewarded when they discovered Cheese Station, which had more cheese than the two mice had ever seen. How unfortunately stayed at stations, they refused to accept that the cheese was gone, and refused to change at one point. I suggested that they search out new cheese, but Hen rejected this idea quickly. They were too comfortable, and searching out new cheese would be difficult after days of hunger. I decided that the current routine was not working, and the things were not getting better. He decided to leave him at stations and return to the maze in search of cheese, while the journey was not easy and was full of stops and starts, and even a return to Station C to see his friend Hem. I finally found his way to station, and where he was delighted to find his old friends Sniff and Scurry, along with a variety of cheeses that he had never imagined. Dr. Johnson uses the metaphor of cheese to represent the things that we want in our lives. This will be different for each of us. It could be a good job, a loving relationship, money, or health. Using this metaphor, Who Moved My Cheese illustrates a few important lessons. The first alteration occurs. Life's one constant is change, and it doesn't just happen in one area of your life. People around you are always evolving. New technology is making things outdated, and the demands of the workforce and job market are always changing. Don't be like him, waiting for more cheese to appear. Instead, prepare for the change, because you know it will happen, and you can leave yourself options and make backup plans, even though you can't predict what will change. Number 3, keep an eye on change. This might include reading the news, staying in touch with friends and family, or experimenting with new technology as it becomes available. The best method to predict change is to keep an eye on the many elements that influence it. Lesson 4. As soon as you see the shift that you already know is coming, choose your new course of action and rapidly duck and cover. Adapted immediately to the lack of cheese at stations, and thus were quick to find station, and it took a little longer, and thus spent days hungry and worried. The early bird gets the worm, as they say, so you want to adapt as quickly as possible. And lastly, enjoy the process. You can look at change as something you must go through, or something you get to go through. Either way, it's going to happen. Learn to enjoy the challenge of adapting and experiencing the new opportunities that change will bring. Change will bring you the opportunity to grow and become better. You just have to embrace it. Remember, what would you do if you weren't afraid? Who Moved My Cheese is a short little book that you can easily read in an afternoon. We think it's well worth the time, considering this fun little read contains lessons that could be put into practice throughout your life. We hope that you enjoyed our book summary and video. If you have a book you'd like to see us cover, leave your suggestions in the comments below, and we'll do our best to summarize them. Also, before you go, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you'll know when we release new content.